Apple just pulled the curtain back on its latest silicon chips, the M3 chips, for their MacBook Pros and iMac computers. It's got me excited about whether to upgrade from my M1 MacBook. Despite the year coming to an end, Apple still has new hardware to unveil. During their spooky-themed event, the company took the wraps off of its next-generation M3 chipsets, the M3, M3 Pro, and M3 Max. Additionally, Apple announced some new machines powered by these updated processors, a new MacBook Pro in 14-inch and 16-inch sizes, and a 24-inch iMac. Even since Apple made the transition from Intel chips to their custom silicon chips in 2020, Apple has been producing its M-series processors, which have been a big leap in technology in terms of computer power. While the company has released the existing chips on a somewhat unpredictable timeline over the last 3 years, they have always been rolled out in the same order. The base-level chips, M1 and M2, came first, followed by the high-end versions, the Pro, Max and Ultra models, later on. But for the first time, Apple has announced 3 tiers of its new chips simultaneously, the M3, M3 Pro and M3 Max. Unlike its predecessors, which are built on 5nm process technology, all 3 new chips are now built on a 3nm process. This packs more transistors into a smaller space and enhances both the speed and power efficiency of the chip. The M3 chips have a few new features to Apple Silicon. The first feature is dynamic caching, which enables the processor to allocate memory for each task dynamically, dialing the allocation up or down as needed rather than cordoning off a set amount of memory for the task to use whether it needs it or not. The result is a more efficient use of resources. The other new features announced are ray tracing and mesh shading, which are put to use in graphics-intensive games and apps. Game developers can utilize ray tracing to more accurately illustrate lighting elements like reflections and shadows. Meanwhile, the hardware-accelerated mesh shading helps visually elaborate scenes within games appear smoother and without skips. Apple claims the M3 lineup offers significant speed improvements over its previous chips in graphics rendering, core CPU functions, and machine intelligence tasks. Of course, we'll have to put each chip through its paces to determine how noticeable these improvements are and compare it to the new Snapdragon X Elite, which Qualcomm claims easily beats the Apple MacBook Pro 13-inch with an M2 processor and Razer's Blade 15-inch laptop 2023. So what's the difference between each version of the next generation chipsets? The entry-level M3 packs an 8-core CPU and up to 10-core GPU with up to 24GB of unified memory. The next step up is the M3 Pro with a 12-core CPU, 18-core GPU, and up to 36GB of unified memory. The most powerful of them all is the M3 Max with a 16-core CPU, a whopping 40-core GPU, and support for up to 128GB of unified memory. Seeing as how Apple completely revamped the exterior of the MacBook Pro only 2 years ago, it's not shocking that the company focused on the internals of these new models. In addition to the new chipsets, there are a few minor changes like a brighter screen which Apple claims can reach up to 600 nits of brightness, which should be 20% more than before. Both MacBook Pro sizes pack displays that are 20% brighter. Apple also claims up to 22 hours of battery life, depending on the configuration. The one major difference worth pointing out is the option to configure the 14-inch MacBook Pro with an M3 chip, which means you now can pair a base-level chip with a Pro-level chassis. Apple claims this configuration is up to 60% faster than the M1-powered 13-inch MacBook Pro. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with M3, however, comes with only 2 USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports instead of 3. If you want the extra port, you must also opt for more power and order the 14-inch or 16-inch models with the M3 Pro or the M3 Max chips. There's a new body color as well. In addition to the traditional silver and space grey, Apple threw in a space black option which looks like matte black. The finish includes a special treatment that reduces fingerprint smudges. It is yet to be determined whether it scratches easily though. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with M3 starts at $1,599, while the M3 Pro and M3 Max models start at $1,999. The 16-inch MacBook Pro starts at $2,499. You can pre-order the next generation laptops starting today, and they will begin to arrive at doorsteps and on shelves on November 7th. Let's wrap this up with the iMac. It's been 3 years since Apple released its candy-colored array of desktops, and now the colorful line of iMacs has been refreshed. On the outside, the hardware remains the same. You'll get a 24-inch 5K Retina display, a 1080p FaceTime camera, a 6-speaker sound system, and great-sounding mics. It comes in the same colors too, including green, orange, pink, yellow, purple, blue, and silver. The base model also packs 2 Thunderbolt ports, while the high-end models come with 2 Thunderbolt ports and 2 additional USB 3 ports, plus support for Gigabit Ethernet. Each iMac comes with color-matched peripherals. You can choose between a standard Magic Keyboard or the Touch ID version, a Magic Mouse or Magic Trackpad. Unfortunately, Apple didn't swap the Lightning ports for USB-C on those accessories as mentioned earlier. It's a strange choice seeing as how the company is clearly working toward transitioning all its products to USB-C standard, as seen with this year's iPhone 15 lineup, but it's good news for those who would rather keep using their Lightning cables. The only new feature is the M3 processor under the hood. You'll have the choice between an 8-core GPU or a 10-core GPU. The base models with 2 ports are configured with 256 GB of storage and can be optioned up to 1 TB. The higher-end models with 4 ports can be configured up to 2 TB of storage. If you're switching from an iMac with first-generation Apple Silicon, the company claims the M3-powered version is up to twice as fast. It also packs Wi-Fi 6E instead of Wi-Fi 6 for download speeds that are supposed to be twice as fast. This translates to downloading high-resolution videos and watching YouTube videos with no lag. The 24-inch iMac starts at $1,299. So, should you upgrade? If you have an M1 Max, how big of an upgrade are the M3 chips? It will depend on how resource-intensive you push your MacBook. You know who you are. Stay tuned for a review on these MacBook Pros with M3 chip. So subscribe so that you don't miss. See you in the next video.